We are Things I Found Online, and I am Jamie Alcroft, here with our guest, Jason Stuart, who is all up in his feelings and here to release some steam about pandemic dating, pandemic creativity, pandemic shopping, and his mother. Our panel includes Danny Mann and producer Dina Friedman, plus our host, Louise Palanker. Louise.
Yes, thank you, Jamie. That was stirring. We are here via the blessing that is Zoom video conferencing with Jason Stuart. Greetings to you, and let us begin with a report on what Jamie and Danny have found online, gentlemen.
Oh boy, once again, nothing.
Nothing. Once again, everything, including what Jamie should have found out. So speaking, having just blessed the world that is Zoom, I do have a fun, interesting Zoom story from this week. I attended a Zoom birthday party and for a friend of mine. And what was really cool about it was that it was her 95th birthday.
Oh, my God.
And she wasn't the oldest person in the Zoom party.
Nice.
So I don't want to, I'm going to leave her out of it, but I'll name the guests. So one of the guests was 103.
Oh,
wow.
And it was actually someone you may have heard of, a wonderful actress, longtime actress, Marsha Hunt.
Oh, my God, Marsha Hunt.
Who, if you Google...
Broadway actress, too.
Broadway, films, TV, and unfortunately blacklisted.
Thomas.
Yeah, I know.
Google her quickly.
So that was one. So, and I had met her before through these people, but there was another name on the screen, and I kept looking at her going, why do I know that name? Patty McCormick.
Oh, wow. I saw her in a play. I saw her in a
the-
play recently. She's wonderful.
Patty McCormick, still active, still a wonderful
Ooh,
actress,
beauty.
but she was the child star in The Bad Seed. Which was
Yes. Can we play a trailer? Can we play that?
She's also one of the youngest Oscar nominees ever. She was 11 years old. She was nominated for an Oscar. Anyway, they were both wonderful, and it was a great, great party. And
You've opened up a can of seeds. Bad.
Every time I look at her, I wish I had just such a little girl. Give me those shoes, they're mine, give them back to me.
Parika did it.
Just give him the shoes. Give him the shoes.
I'll give you a basket of hugs. Just before Plug was found among the pilots.
All right, I think we can wrap this up, gentlemen.
so, in wrapping it up, anyway, they were
I have
both.
an interesting piece of trivia about that film.
She's not actually bad.
End
It's
of the
just that her
film.
parents are alcoholics.
Your guest star is talking, Louise.
Please go ahead, Jason.
An interesting piece of trivia at the film, at the end of the film, because the character of Rhoda was such a menacing character, they had people come out and they gave her, and the mother gives her a spanking as if it were a play. And everybody went back and took a bow. It was very strange.
So anyway, wonderful stories. And I as soon as the thing was over, I jumped onto Google and went deep diving on it. But and one of the things, everybody sang happy birthday to the birthday girl, the 95-year-old birthday girl. And one of the guys that was in it came up with a great line, which you're all welcome to borrow. He, as we were singing happy birthday, he said, "This is the first time I've sung happy birthday in 3 months where I wasn't washing my hands." Which I
love it.
So that's my show and tell.
I love that. Could you please have interesting Zoom parties every week, Danny, and come to report on the celebrities in attendance?
It's what I live for, Arthur.
So I go on Joe Biden volunteer Zoom calls, and you kind of like see the people, and usually there's like 40 or 50 people, and then you hover over their names, and I saw Rhea Perlman.
Yeah.
In a Zoom call with me.
I met Rhea Perlman when I was a kid.
Really?
Yes, because I used to be friends with Joey Santos, who was Joe Santos' son, and Danny DeVito, who I later guested on a show at Sunny Philadelphia, was living in the maid's room before he got Taxi, and Rhea came out, who was his girlfriend at the time, they weren't married, and said, I'm not staying in this town, it's terrible. Nobody's going to give me a job. And then apparently that didn't work out. She did get a job, won 1 million Emmys, and it changed her career.
It's a good thing you told her to hang in there. You were instrumental.
Yes, I did.
Right.
Hang in there, girl. And then I saw her at the ArcLight movie theater, and I told her that story. And she acted like she remembered it. She was so sweet.
Oh, that's the cutest.
Stupid quick question. Is she the actress or the writer? Because her sister wrote on the show as well, right?
That was Heidi Perlman.
Heidi. Okay,
Ria's the actress.
Yes.
All right, let's officially introduce Jason by way of his website to prove that he does exist online. JasonStuart.com. You can go there and scroll around. There's much to see.
Quit scrolling around.
And peruse. Jason is approaching 150 credits on his IMDb page, another place where you can scroll around and create actor envy for those that don't have
go to
quite as many.
Right
I'm sure you all go on each other's IMDb's and count. I know you do. So actor and comedian Jason Stuart has achieved a pinnacle of success many actors only dream of. People approach him, point, smile, and say, "You're that guy."
Hey,
With guest starring and supporting credits in everything from Judd Apatow's Love to Sleepy Hollow to Tangerine and The Birth of a Nation, the new version, not the old racist one. Jason has established himself as one of those familiar faces who might just pop up anywhere in any kind of role. What do you get the most, Jason, when you notice that someone is recognizing you? Like, what do you think? Oh, they're going to walk up to me, or do you base it on like who they are, what they're going to say when they approach you?
Well, I'm not famous enough to have that one thing that everybody goes that, but they'll look at you and go, "You're that guy, right?" Or they go like this. Like they're almost trying to squint to see the last time they saw me on television. Or people ask me all the time, "What are you doing here?"
Oh, like you don't leave the TV.
Yeah, like I live there.
That's where you live.
Out, just,
what are you doing here? I love that.
It's like seeing your teacher at the grocery store. Like, what?
Exactly. What are you doing here?
What?
Jason, that's almost like Charles Grodin's, when he wrote his autobiography. It was called We Really Wish You Weren't Here.
Yes, I read it. It was great. Love him. Yeah, I was at a Zoom party the other day. It was a cocktail party. I had a couple drinks, and then I just had no idea how I got home.
That's awesome.
No idea how you got offline.
But Jason, you're here to address the important, urgent, pressing issue of pandemic dating.
Oh,
really hard.
How is it done? How do people do it? What's happening?
First thing
I'm married, and most of us are married. Well, the boys aren't married. Francesco and Thomas are not married. Danny's not married. So anyone who's not married, please. I want to know.
No one is. We're all single except for you, Louise.
Don't forget what you said. Yeah.
All right. So it's just me and Jamie who are married. I take it all back. This will be fixed and edited.
But all of us would cheat if given the right opportunity.
What is there a certain protocol that married people are not aware of, where you kind of like swipe on Tinder and go?
First, let me tell you where I'm at. So a year and a half ago, I broke up with this guy that I was so in love with. He was from Italy. He could barely speak English, which is perfect for me. Mm-hmm. Sicily, to be exact. I met him at the gym, and he was separated. He was gay married, but separated. And he was so sweet. He was a new gay, like a Star Wars figure. It was like he'd never been touched. He was still in the box. No one wrecked him up or anything. And he had that new gay car smell. He was wonderful.
Can't you get a freshener that does that same thing? An air freshener?
Exactly. Yes. That was the joke. Thank you for helping.
Here, I'll just sign. Go ahead.
It's okay. It's all right. Go ahead. It's your show. I'm just a guest. And the nicest thing about him, though, he was so sweet and so kind. I had done this movie, Hank, last year. It was a little independent film drama that came out, and I had to gain 15 pounds, and I lost 10 of it. Okay, 12. All right. I lost 8 pounds. All right, 7. Okay, and he said to me,
you look great.
Thank you. He said, honey, I said, I'm losing all this weight. He said, honey, don't get too skinny. I like you the way you are. And I said, I'm going to marry you before Trump has you deported. And so that's where I came from, the dating. So I've been going on dating apps and trying to meet people. It's really hard to talk to people, I mean, people don't want to talk. That's the first thing. They just want to text. No one wants to talk. And they're people that I haven't met, so I don't know their jokes or their sense of humor or anything about them. They don't care. Calling someone, they have to set an appointment and a time, like it was a business meeting. And so it's very hard. And then they want to, video chat with you, and everybody, and gay men, they all want you to have sex with them. And this guy said, I said, look, I'm not having sex now. We're in a pandemic, and I'm not doing any of that. It's not safe yet. He said, oh, no, I don't want to have sex with you. I just want you to masturbate from your window. And I said, oh, well, thank God I'm still popular. know what to say. So I said, but the only thing is there's going to be a problem. I live on the second floor, so you're going to need an umbrella.
I have a question. What are you boys doing with your ring lights?
What are we doing now?
Yeah.
Right now? Mine is right
It's
above.
a sexual joke, but if you didn't get it, let's just.
Wow.
It's the new cock ring.
Okay, there you go.
I thought that was a band. I thought there was a band of roosters that stole cars.
Yeah. No,
A cock ring. A cock ring.
just
I want to fall in love. I just want to meet a guy that has a car and doesn't live in it.
No, but what I want to know. Oh, that's funny.
Yeah,
What I want to know is, are people who are dating and looking, are they willing to meet up? Or is it just what you're talking about? Like, let's just be sexy on Zoom together.
I don't know. I haven't had a date yet, but though I've had a lot of promises of date. And if you meet, I know one guy that's dating people at a distance. You know, hey, you're very attractive. Nice to meet you. I'm Jason. You know.
You're who?
Well, I'm not dating old people. I'm just dating.
But are you careful about who's allowed to come into your home?
Oh, yeah. I've only actually in the last 3 months, the only people I've seen is my mom, who lives next door, my best buddy Terry, and my best buddy Jeffrey, Dr. Olson. If you live in Palm Springs, you have something put in so you can have a little something. He does that. I haven't done anything yet, but who knows, you know. Oh, this is what I do now when I'm on Zoom. This is my new Zoom. So if you're Zooming, you get some Scotch tape. I forgot to do it. And you put a little Scotch tape here. So this way you look like you did 10 years ago.
Uh-huh.
And this is it. See?
Yeah, I can see a little reflection of your ring light in that.
Oh, you look a little Asian, but it's okay.
I was going to say, you look like all the white guys in the 20 that played Asians in movies.
Right.
Oh, that's just a little bit racist, but it's okay.
I live in Palm Springs now, so I'm young again.
Oh, okay. So what inspired the move out there, Jason?
The traffic. I'd say the traffic. If you're a veteran actor of sorts, most of your
traffic.
Yes, the sex trafficking. That was way too much for me. Everybody wanted me, and you know, please.
No, the music group, Jamie.
Oh, Stevie Winwood.
Dear God.
Well, I don't know how to break this to you, Jason, but there's no traffic in LA right now. You'd really love it.
I know. I left it for a
back.
long time. I know I could drive around and do whatever I want. The traffic was too much. I really did feel the ageism, especially in the comedy clubs. And I won't say the names of the places of the people, but I think there's a lot of ageism.
Can I say them?
I say so.
You can say
However,
whatever you-
Marty Ross is going to be on America's Got
I know. Tonight, Marty Ross is going to be America's Got Talent tonight. He's almost
Really?
100.
That's
Oh,
right.
that's wonderful.
He won't be able to hear the laughter, but he'll do the jokes, which is great.
He does.
No,
All right, so basically-
I really, you know, as you do get older, once you hit the big 50, you know, I'm willing to admit that I'm 40. It's just taken me 9 years. Once you hit the big 50, it starts to change, and people start, as a character actor, it doesn't matter, but as a comedian, it does. And people think you're inviolable because everybody's obsessed with straight boys and what they're saying and what they're talking about, and they don't treat this gay celebrity in the same way as they do a straight celebrity. It's different. You know,
But don't you think that women are much more obsessed with gay men? Like, we find them more interesting.
I think as an audience, yeah, women are much more open to it, but women also decide where you're going all the time. And when you go to a comedy club, the woman always says, "Oh, let's go see this one. Let's go see that one." And I think that I found that more. When we were doing comedy clubs, I was just talking to somebody about new marketing of how to market because my book is out, and I'm how to market it because I can't do any book signings. I try to do that over Zoom, so we're all talking about different ways to do that. And my fans are certainly Jews, gay men, lesbians, you know, any LGBTQ people, and also women, tons and tons of women.
Yeah, we relate to gay men because they're interested in all the same things, but they're more unapologetic about who they are. Like, women are just naturally kind of like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I wasn't supposed to be there. Pardon me." But men, you know, you have a women's sensibility with male energy, and we love that. Well, it's kind of like the way you guys love Judy Garland. You like her, you like aspects of like how bold she is.
Can we at least say Streisand? Can we at least bring somebody that's a little more current? Just
yeah, Streisand.
We could do Gaga. We could do whoever you like. But you get the principle. We just admire we admire people that are bold
But then that is a problem though for gay men, because if gay men keep speaking all of their creativity through women, I mean, that is a problem in terms of getting jobs in the gay community. And people have also put me down for saying this. My first comedy CD was called Gay Comedy Without a Dress. Now, I love Gaga. I love Madonna. I'm obsessed with Barbara. My book was going to be called I'm Not Barbara Streisand. You know, I love them too. But, you know, at any big gay event, you'll have Gaga hosting, or Kathy Griffin, or someone who's a straight person. Whereas if you went to the big, you know, Jewish benefit, you wouldn't have Damon Wayans hosting it, or you wouldn't have Dane Cook host the Asians of America group. You know, we're the only group that doesn't support its own unless we're naked.
So when is that changing? Because you're right.
Changed a lot. It has changed a lot. I've been part of that, but it's still not equal to other groups. You don't see other groups, other minority groups, have other people supporting even the lesbians support their own. You wouldn't see, we don't care. It's a woman. Debbie Reynolds is doing the big RSVP cruise. It doesn't matter. You know, we don't care if they're dead. We just want them there. Women. It's odd. You know, it's even in Hollywood. I was talking to someone on the phone today, a big manager, and he was just the idea, you know, of casting, about how, you know, there's always been this big thing. People have always asked me, do you think only gay people should play gay people? Well, no, but still it's not even. Gay men don't get to work as much as straight men. You know, we don't have the same opportunities. Yes, things have changed, but it still is not equal.
Haven't a lot of gay men played straight roles, though? I mean, hasn't there always been a fairly fluid situation between those?
No, it hasn't been fluid. It's been closeted. Closeted gay men have.
Okay.
And now in the last 10 years, some of us, including myself, have been able to play straight people. And certainly we have to be able to step up to the plate and do that. And you can watch my demo reels on my site. Anybody who feels that I can't, and see if they think that I do, and you'll be the judge of that. But I just think that the playing fields are not even. And we still have a ways to go, but things have changed, and I am one of the lucky ones. So I'm not, if anybody thinks that I'm bitching and complaining, I'm not. I'm really very lucky, and I'm very, very grateful.
But I've seen your stand-up act, and your stand-up appeals not just to gay people. You're a funny man.
Well, that's very kind of you. But everybody is different. You know, comedy's like food. You know, it's like a poo-poo platter of people. But you're also, you have a lesbian daughter. You're very evolved men. You know, a lot of straight guys dig it, but they wouldn't necessarily go after it, you know. Certainly the woman would decide. But I've done a lot of the improvs in Brea and Irvine and stuff, and it's just so much fun, and primarily straight crowds. But I think we're still learning. We're still learning stuff, and I'm still learning, and I still have a lot to learn about how to market myself to different kinds of people. And maybe I'm old school, science. Maybe there's more people that like me of all different kinds than I think. You know,
it's changing very rapidly, like at warp speed, and that's why. I'm excited about the future. I'm excited about the young generation and what matters to them and what doesn't, and how, you know, like for example, how quickly we've accepted trans culture and that it's always been there.
But let me tell you something, Louise. Trans people don't feel that way. But it happens very quickly for them. They feel, you know, that's my experience of most of my trans friends. They've had to wait. And the same thing for gay people, someone of my age. I've been in the business 40 years. You know, I had to wait in line to get a job. You know, I had, and Jamie knows this very well because we were peers. Certainly he came in the group before me, but, you know, I had a lot of success in the 90s after coming out, and still didn't have the same deals that my friends Drew Carey and other people were given. Damon Wayans, they were all given series deals. I was able to guest on shows. I had 10 different people wanting to produce a show for me, but I was told behind the scenes there was no way they were going to give a gay guy a sitcom.
But Jason, you were out before anyone else was out. So
not everyone, but I was primarily
very, very early. And so you must have known people who weren't out.
But I always want to say this first, if I have a chance. I was not the first person to come out, and I broke the ground, but there were other people before me, like Bob Smith and Suzanne Westenhofer and Karen Williams and Jaffe Cohen, so many wonderful, wonderful comics, Robin Tyler that broke the ground for me, and I stand on their shoulders to here. So you want me to be on your show,
right?
So, you know,
and I appreciate you shouting out all those names. That's really
there's so many to name. Mark
that's
Davis.
very gracious. But
So
my point is, throughout your stand-up career, you must have seen that there were a lot of people who weren't out, and they were getting roles that you weren't getting because you were out. So how do you feel about that?
Well, at first it happened this way. First, when I was in the 80s, you know, I didn't know that I was so flamboyant or feminine, or I didn't have this voice, and I didn't have this this confidence that I have now, or I didn't have this ability to change. I mean, I can turn in a circle and become somebody else in a second now. But I went to class. I lowered my voice. I learned how to do, I got started on the clothes, and I talk like this. I was this guy that did this, and all of a sudden I'm this different character. And then I did a movie where I did the voice of that guy in a movie called The Fair that came out last year. And it was in Tangerine, they had me play that character. And it kept moving to other things. Then I got cast in Birth of a Nation. I talk like this, you know, it's hard times, small farmers like you and myself. Breaking even's hard enough, but getting ahead's impossible. Are you ready, boy? You know, and
thank you. We'll call you.
But that's at 50% of what you have to be able to go like this and become somebody else.
Yes.
But this is not a town of people wanting you to be a character actor. Most people want you to be you, whoever that is. I don't exist. There are very few gay men over 50 years old who exist in film and television.
Wow.
Most of them are under 40, beautiful bodies, hot looking, you know, or some, you know, I mean, they want to have all the minorities in one chair, you know, wheelchair, Jewish, lesbian, bisexual.
Well, let's talk about your book for a moment. Your book is called Shut Up, I'm Talking.
No. Shut up, I'm talking!
Oh, that's sorry. Yeah.
You got to pronounce it right, Louise.
It's all caps.
Well, the publisher, CCB Publishing, you know, when you write a biography, I don't know if anybody knows this, they go through the whole book and they see what's true, what's not legally, so you can't be sued. And the book was called I'm Not Barbra Streisand. So if you think I don't like women performers, you know, I was obsessed with Barbra Streisand as a kid. I went to see Funny Girl when I was very young at the Pan Pacific Theater on Beverly Boulevard on my Schwinn bike, olive green with a banana seat and I went to see this woman that everybody was talking about that was Jewish and funny on the outside and sad on the inside, just like me. And I saw her walk into this, you know, theater in the movie where it starts, and she looks in and she goes like this and goes, "Hello, gorgeous." I thought to myself, I am in love. And I watched this movie, and she sang like a marlin. I mean, she was just incredible. She was like this incredible voice. She was funny. She had depth, and she looked like someone in my neighborhood. So I thought, oh my God, that's me. She's a woman. Well, that's 10 years of therapy. And I was in love with Omar Sharif.
For you or for her?
For me. You know, I was in love with Omar Sharif, just
Same.
like her. You know, and he was gorgeous. And then I didn't really know if you're in love with, you know, a man, you're only left to be a woman. So as I grew up, I felt pushed to being that. Mm-hmm. And then when I hit around 35 or 40, I started coming into the masculine side of myself and realized who I am, which came in my second comedy CD called I'm the Daddy and I Have Candy.
Great title. I love the title.
Well, Jason, let's talk about your YouTube series, Smothered.
Oh, great. Well, I created my second series. My first series, most people I probably know, it's called, well, not most people, a lot of people, because it did very well, called Mentor. It's on Amazon now with Paul Laya and Alexander Paul. And then this series is called Smothered, and it's about these two men who have been in a relationship for 30 years, who hate each other, and who can't afford to get divorced.
Well, they love each other and they hate each other.
Yeah. Oh, look, it's gone up again. Oh, my God. I'm keeping score.
Yeah. Going up what? What's
on the number of episodes. Oh, God. So it's gone to over 1,000 views in a week. Mm-hmm. And I'd like to get it. My partner, not my love partner, but my partner in this, Mitch Hara, who co-wrote it, co-produced it, co-starred in it with me. Also, he wrote some of the music himself, the lyrics. He's brilliant and funny. And, he's just terrific in it. And it's available if you want to go to it. The easiest way to do it is just go to jasonstewart.com, hit on my projects, and you'll see Smothered right there. Or you can, Google Smothered Jason Stuart Machera.
Right. And it's super fun. It's YouTube. You just watch one right after the other. You just watch.
Yeah, did you watch it?
Yeah, well, I watched about half of it, and so the conceit is that they're always in a different shrink's office.
No, you didn't watch that's not what you don't. That's just.
Busted.
Yeah,
Right.
At the end, you see what happens when we, by accident, we realize we don't have any money, and we go into the IRS agent. It becomes very.
Well, that's how it starts. The first three, which I watched, they're in different shrink's office with using different techniques, and so it's very clever.
Oh, you can watch the trailer, right? We can watch the trailer.
Yes, let's watch.
Let's do it.
We haven't finished the bad seed yet.
Everybody loves me. Everyone hates you.
Randy.
I'm Ralph. Randy.
Randy.
He's Randy. I'm Randy.
In chapter 2 of my book, Dead.
Why aren't we having sex anymore? You're like an Alzheimer victim. We had sex 3 days ago. When? Oh my God. We whacked each other off during This Is Us. Okay, can I be honest? No, I'm gonna be honest. Me. Honest. Honest. Me. Direct. You've turned into your fucking grandmother. Yentl changed my life. Fuck. Barbara's drunk. Fuck. See ya. Oh, her. Your inner child is dead. Just because I said no to the ball gag does not mean that my inner child is dead. You're an emotional terror. Oh, fuck you. Fuck you. Fuck you.
That is hot.
How do you feel right now? You can have the cottage and be there. I'm not living in the Dr. Woods! Gentlemen, the IRS is suing you for $200,000. I'm sorry.
Wow, that's awesome. So,
Jason, excuse me, did I read correctly that Terry Hanauer directed the series?
Terry Hanauer directed every single episode.
Yeah, she's an old, I won't say friend because we don't talk all the time, but I've known her for years. And
I would not have had the performance I had without her. She really, really.
Oh, that's great.
Gifted.
Great lady.
So how much improv, how much script are you reading? Because it's really fast and fabulous.
What do you think? What do you think?
Yeah,
I think mostly script.
What do you guys think?
I think it's probably I want to say about 70 improv, 30 outline.
Yeah, I would say that you have an outline. You know where you're.
Well, this is what we did, and this is what was really important. I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
Oh, it's just you know where you have to get to, and you improv until you get there. No.
Well, then that really makes me so happy because we worked a month on it before. First, we wrote it for a month, then we rehearsed for a month, then we shot it in 8 to 10 days. I think 8 days. I think, and a lot of people do web series. Everybody wants to do one now, and I had 2 goals. Number 1, I wanted to be good in it, and number 2, I wanted it to be fun. And I didn't want to rush through everything. A lot of people would go in there, take 2, 3 takes. The actual scenes came from improvisation, came from ideas, rewriting, talking, improvising. And then we shot it, but we gave each other permission to talk around things. But since it was so good, honestly, there wasn't an incredible amount of improvisation. But
to me, it felt really sharp. And I didn't hear a lot of that overlap. I heard a lot of what felt rehearsed like a play, that you had your timing down brilliantly. That's our editor, Rob Patlett. I'm saying his name wrong, but Rob was the second director. I mean, he was just brilliant. As most people know, you can do what you can do. If you don't have a good editor, you are just screwed.
So more importantly, which one of us came closest in the pool?
I think, Louise.
Okay.
But it isn't play-like because it's very filmatic in the sense that it's visually, each episode visually looks different, and that was Terry. That's right. We didn't want to do it. We said, we wanted it to be real. And what's really interesting is those guys do seem like real people, but just crazy versions of real people.
But it's so rapid fire that I don't know how you could improv that without stepping on each other. That's what I was seeing. As a writer and an editor, I just sort of see the perfection that is what I just saw. It's
And from your description, the way around that was by working with it till it felt like a broken in pair of shoes kind of thing.
Right, and also Mitch and I were so in sync, and he drove me so crazy in real life.
That's how Jamie and I work.
Oh, really?
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, but it's Danny who drives Jamie crazy.
Yeah, Danny drives everybody crazy, and I just watch.
But you're British. You drive on the other side of the road anyway.
Yeah, he has very good seats to see the show.
Yeah.
So you can binge on it. You go to YouTube and you watch one, and then the next one starts. And how long are they each, Jason?
Anything from 3 to 4 minutes to 6 to 7 minutes.
Yeah, so it's just really fun. You're just like,
It's like around a half an hour to watch the whole thing, but apparently Louise couldn't do that before the show.
No. I'm very busy, Jason. I'm in the middle. Yeah.
She's got a country to run.
I'm trying to build a bridge in Animal Crossing, okay? A lot of fishing to do.
Hey, people are going to think you're a lesbian. Please, watch the show.
Oh, I have so many different lesbianic traits. It's just the only reason I'm not a lesbian is that I fall in love with men. Everything else is completely...
Well, the scarf is really helping, I have to say, because when I first met you, I thought, that's it, you know.
Have you seen the collection
Of scarves? Oh
yeah,
God.
you can see it kind of behind my head. Yeah, it's right there.
Oh, I thought you were in a storage bin.
Look, I can be a weatherman and point at my own scarves. Right here.
No, Louise, that's a cold front.
Who is that behind you, Jason, jumping in the
Now,
photo?
Jason, I want to hear about the... What is that, Jamie?
There's a
Behind
photograph
me?
behind Jason, and someone's jumping in the air.
Jumping in the air.
Who's that jumping in the air?
Those are magazine covers of things that I've been on.
Uh-huh.
This is my office. It's the only room you're going to see pictures of me in.
It's very nice.
So I have a trivia question for you, Jason.
Please.
I think Abducted, the director was a guy named Bagdasarian.
Yeah, Prince
Is he-
Vegetarian.
Is he in relation to the guy from the Chipmunks, David Seville?
God, I don't know.
Okay.
It's an action. It's my first real action movie other than Kindergarten Cop, which was a comedy action, but I had a nice part. I played Detective Walter, and it's my first time playing a detective real. So I talk like this. I walk around, I go, hey, Louise, what are you doing here? All right.
I'm really not supposed to be here. You're right.
We really wish you weren't here.
I'm wondering why Dina has this set of thing, and I put my glasses on my head all the
I
time.
think the Groden book is, it would be so nice if you would.
It would be so nice if you weren't here. Thank you.
Yeah.
Louise.
Because
And I walk
he was actually sitting in a spot that that was the way that they phrased it.
Based on an actual, they were shooting in this castle, and this British lady came in and said, "Are you two supposed to be waiting here?" And they kind of went, "No." And then he said,
It would be so nice if you weren't here.
he named that was. The
I
name
always
of it.
wanted to play a detective like James Broderick or Charles Durning, all these J.W. Walsh, all these great character actors. I always wanted to be like them. I always wanted to have, and I did it. And I thought, God, I'm so boring in the film. But I did get a little bit of fan mail recently. This March it premiered on Showtime, and it's on Showtime now. You can watch that there.
Oh, wow.
And you can also watch Birth of a Nation on Amazon. And I don't know why people say it's the new version, not the old version. If I was in the old version, I'd be over 150 years old.
That's why it's funny.
But you look great.
And you be a racist.
That's why it's so.
Well, I was a racist in this film. I was a
You'd
right.
also be silent. And
Yes, you wouldn't have heard my
That's where
voice. So wouldn't
you were. I saw it.
But why did they make it a musical? That's what I didn't understand.
Oh, well, because, can I just be honest? Slave owners like to sing. It's just, historically, I heard that, and, I asked for a song. Hey there, you with the porch fig, breaking your hand.
You with the chain on your leg.
Yeah, slave
Don't
owner,
go there, Jamie.
slave owner Coke karaoke was huge.
This
Oh,
is
very.
so wrong. So wrong. All right. Now, Jason, your mom is your wacky neighbor.
Oh, definitely.
Please illuminate.
Well, my mom is 83 and still shops at Forever 71.
Okay.
And she's obsessed with shopping and obsessed with herself. She's been married 4 times. 2 she married, 2 she killed. She's very funny. It doesn't matter what I say. So we're driving back so this is what happened. So 4 years ago, she started getting older, and I said, Ma, I can't keep coming up to Palm Springs. I was in Birth of a Nation. It was a very big PR time for me. I was doing press for almost a year on that movie, from the premiere at Sundance to the premiere in Canada to Denver to this to that, everything that we were doing, all the press. And I was very busy, so I could not move to Palm Springs and come every 5 minutes to take care of her when she needed something. And she was ill. She had got ill that year. And so I said, look, you have to move here. I moved her out to Los Angeles. We got closer than we've ever been. There's a trust factor with an old Jewish woman, and we became very, very close. And then in 19, things started to change, and video auditions became more prevalent. Everything became more easy to move around. And I wanted to live an easier life. The traffic in LA, just to go visit, just to go to your house to do that radio show, this radio show, then took me an hour to get there.
Right.
From my house in Hollywood. So I decided to move here. And my mom lives next door. And, God, it's like living with Gladys Kravitz. Who was that going up the stairs? I take her out for shopping, She goes, that guy is touching all the peaches. I said, Mom, that guy is you. You're the one that touched all the... Buy a peach. You're not buying a car, for God's sake. And then her obsession is Ross Dress for Less, right? Oh, we go to Ross. She's there. I drop her off. It's like dropping a kid off at camp. She's there for 3 hours. I pick her up. She comes home with a blouse. It has 3 arms. I said, Mom, why did... She says, I'll make a bow out of it. It was $1.99. I don't give a shit. She's obsessed, So we were driving here, all the way here back, and I said, Mom, what's wrong? You look sad. We're in my Prius, right? It's so quiet. We drove over 3 people. I didn't even notice. So we're driving here, and she's upset. And I said, what's it? She says, well, all my friends are dead now. And I said, well, what about Marta? We used to go to her house all the time when I'd come up here for New Year's Day. Remember, for tamales? She goes, Marta. Oh, I slept with her husband. I said, what? Was it a one-time thing or an affair? She goes, I don't remember. That's my childhood. I don't remember. Here, it's half a sleeping pill. Go to sleep. You're annoying me. I don't remember.
So just
that would almost be funnier if she doesn't smoke but does that. Just as
she smoked like she doesn't smoke now, but she smoked like a chimney growing up. She used to get so mad at me all the time. She was so emotional. If me and my brother would get in a fight or something, she'd say, "If you kids don't stop this shit, I'm sending you all to military school." I said, "Get the car, get the keys."
Yeah, really.
I hear they shave people.
What is your mom's first name?
Gloria. But she said, don't use her name. Call her Goldie when we talk about her.
Okay, Goldie.
I don't want anybody to know who I am.
What was she like at 40, and where did you live?
She was so hot. She would wear a Wonder Bra and her tits would go, I wonder how we got up here. I mean, she would wear her cha-cha heels, her plastic earrings, her snap-on ponytail. She'd walk into school and all the kids would go, Mom, your mom's so hot. What happened to you? I mean, it was just, yes.
So she was a hottie. Harper
my
Valley.
God. She married the butcher. Her second husband was the butcher. We had a garage filled with meat. My father didn't say anything because it was free. She was there with him for 15 years.
It sounds like she was in Fiddler.
Oh, yeah, I don't think, no, not Fiddler. She's more like a Jewish Marilyn Monroe, No,
she married the butcher.
Oh, the butcher, yeah. Was he a racist? I go, both.
Who?
My mother's second husband. Her third husband was a guy who was a dealer, not a drug dealer, a car dealer.
Oh.
He looked like Robert Goulet, and every time and Jack Nicholson, he looked like those two guys. So every time I saw him, I wanted to go on a clear day, And her fourth husband.
Who she married?
Then the fourth one was the multiple personality. Now I liked him. Every time he saw me, he would go, "Ladies and gentlemen, Jason Stuart." So I knew something was wrong. He had 8 personalities. The last 3 were the ones I liked. The German guy was interesting. The guy that played pool and the gay guy were very nice.
So she was married 12 times.
Really?
Is
yeah.
your father still living?
My father, no. My father passed away 2012. My father was a Holocaust survivor.
Mm.
Not the death camps, but the ghettos, the internment camps like they have here, which is so terrible. people to come. He was an incredible guy. But he used to say, he said, why do you have to talk about gay all the time? Why don't you be like Bob and Tom? Bob and Tom, they live out the club. They're gay, but they shut up about it. Why can't you just shut up? I told him, I said, I never forget, I was on the show, Everybody Hates Chris. I don't know what he had about. He said, why are you on Everybody Hates Chris? You should be on Everyone Loves Raymond. They love Raymond. They hate Chris. This is stupid. I'll pay you to be not on the show. Why don't all the time. He watched me the first time I was on a show. I guest starred on a show called Life and Times of Eddie Roberts. 1979, my first guest star. He watched the show. I said, Dad, what did you think? He said, I watched it the next week. You weren't on it. What did you do? You can't keep a job. What did you say? Shut up. I told you to shut up.
Wow. It's hard to explain show business to your dad.
Yes, it is.
It's hard to believe he wrote a book about show business.
Oh, my book is not just funny. There are a lot of chapters. The first chapter is called Gotta Move, Gotta Get Out, and it's all about my father and the Holocaust and how he left. It's a very touching chapter. My mother's chapter is called It Was the Best. It was the worst of times. It was the worst of times. And how their whole life started together. I had a girlfriend for 5 years. That chapter is called the last train to heterosexuality stops here. And then I have How I Got Birth of a Nation. It's called The Birth of an Actor. I have a whole chapter on comedy called Comedy Isn't Pretty, sort of Steve Martin, A Bow to Him.
I love that the chapters have names. I love books where chapters have names.
Oh yeah, there's just great ones. I have great, keep your friends close and keep your enemies in a storage facility. I'm trying to, these are all the great, I don't remember all. Oh, Burning Jason, which is all about going to Burning Man. That's a really great chapter. And I'm going to be doing, I'm going to do The Birth of an Actor story on Sunday on that show called Storytelling, Crash Story, something it's called. It'll be on my Facebook page. You called that acting? Shelley Winters changed my life, how I changed my name. She changed.
Right, we heard that story last time you were on. I love that story.
I wasn't here. In a nutshell, can you?
Oh, you want me to tell it again? I can if you want.
That's just me.
Oh, it's okay. I had gone to Schwab's drugstore, which used to be across the street from the Laugh Factory, where the 5 movie theater is. And in there, in those days, a drugstore would have a coffee shop attached to it. And I heard that's where all the actors went. And I was 19 years older, and I went there. I stood in line, and it was sort of like, like Europe. If there were 3 people at a table, you'd be put on that table with them. It wouldn't matter who you are. So I worked it out so I could be at a table with Academy Award nominee Sally Kirkland, who was eating a piece of cheese, Shelley Winters, who had 2 Oscars, who was a famous movie star.
They were with her at the table.
Right. Oh, thank you. And Skippy Lowe, the public access.
Oh my God, I remember his show.
Actually looked like a lesbian leprechaun.
That's a good description.
And they were all just talking, and they were talking about, I think it was The Deer Hunter or something. And Shelley Winters finally turned around and looked at me, and she goes, "Who are you?" And I said, I'm Stuart Greif. She said, what? I Stuart Ted Greif. That's my name. She said, well, that's a stupid name for a cute kid. And she made me an observer at the Actors Studio. I did my first TV show. They spelled my name Stuart Greif. The next day I changed my name. Shelley Winters changed my name.
That's great.
And she made me an observer at the Actors Studio here in Los Angeles. And then then when I saw her again on the street, she could not remember who I was.
She gave you grief over your name.
Fame is fleeting.
Jason, you grew up in New York City, right?
No, I grew up in Los Angeles.
Oh, you did?
In the Fairfax area, but I was born in the Bronx.
Okay.
Oh, there you go.
So I talked like this until I was 5 years old because everyone around me was either a Jew from New York or talked like this, and they're from Poland. So who are you to me? Who are you? Who are you to me? I don't know. I did this accent in a film recently called Tribes. It was supposed to go to Cannes. I'm not supposed to tell anybody, but it got into Cannes. There's this new short film. I talk like this. Who are you? Who are you? You're such a pretty girl. I can't say that because it's me too. Me too. Yes, you too. You can't say me.
Actually, I grew up around those kind of Jews, Eastern European Jews, and that accent is like spot on.
Well, this is what it was. Thank you, Dina. You're such a pretty girl.
I got chills right now. It's amazing.
My grandmother would come in the house and she'd go like this over the fireplace and she'd go, "Oh, Gloria, you don't clean?" So every time my mother says something I don't like, and she nags me, I go, "Gloria, you don't clean?" She goes, "Oh, no, don't say that."
You think Dina's pretty now, you should see her when the lights are on.
Well, she's got this, I don't know, this sort of, you and her both have this sort of blurry kind of soft focus, like you're an old movie star.
I think it's a combination of the touch-up feature and also my camera being a little dirty. So
she's in rehearsals for Coal Miner's Daughter. So.
Oh, was that a joke about the coal mines?
It allegedly, yeah, but it could have been.
Oh, I thought it was just.
I thought it was a reference to the canary.
You thought what?
She looks like Loretta Lynn in that lighting.
There's nothing funny about non-renewable energy.
You know what's so interesting about that movie? In the movie, Sissy Spacek plays Loretta Lynn, and her husband Dooley rapes her on her wedding night.
Yeah.
And that film was nominated for Best Actress. She won Best Film, Best Director, and everything in those days. And it was a very successful movie. It just shows how time has changed. That was okay in a movie to show that with nobody ever mentioning it. It's really interesting.
Yeah, it is.
I mean, we've so changed. You can't say "Me Too." Where are you going? Can I go? Me too. Where are you going? Oh no, I can't go with you. Time's up.
You should be able to say it without the hashtag.
I guess so. You can't say you're going through a transition because then you have to have your penis go.
Yeah.
You got to go. You really want to go bad.
You do have to be careful. And the other thing is just always apologize. Assume that you've made a misstep and that you've offended someone, and just say, "I'm sorry, and I've learned, and I'm going to do better."
Hey, you must be you're Canadian.
Good intentions, I think, go a long way.
Canadians, we apologize for everything first, and then.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
You really can't call anybody honey. All the waitresses at Cancers have been fired for calling people honey. I mean,
really, I call everybody honey. I started calling my mother honey. I don't know where we're going. I think this is, this is where we are. You just get to
and you can't do honey, which is my favorite. Hun.
Or hun. Hey, hun.
I have no problem with women addressing me with like honey, sweetie, darling, whatever. But if a man does it, it's just like my skin just crawls. If a man calls me.
Doesn't it depend on how it's said, the context
of it? No, it doesn't. Absolutely not.
That's interesting, Dina. So it's an endearment from a female, but from a man, it sounds like it's demeaning.
Yeah.
You react to schnookum poopsies.
All right.
That was okay.
So we're going to jump to something that Dina and I noticed over the weekend, because we do kind of like, we are constantly scanning the internet for trends and important news items of note. Because sometimes over the weekend, there's some interesting hashtags trending. And if you dive in, you click on them, you're like, what is this? And Dina knows better than I do, but it's layers deeper than it looks like to the average kind of viewer, which is me. Dina kind of really understands. She can go 4chan deep. I'm sure Thomas and Franny can as well.
Like a big onion.
But listen, you guys are going to enjoy this. So what was happening over the weekend to me, and I wrote to Dina and I said, are you watching this? It looked like K-pop fans, this is Korean pop music fans, had taken over Trump-related hashtags. And it was masterful. So in other words, for the hashtag of QAnon, they were posting BTS, K-pop groups, and so K-pop fans are flooding QAnon hashtags with memes and fan cams.
Should we define what a fan cam
go ahead, Dina. Dig into this for everybody.
Okay, so just for anyone that doesn't know, fan cams are, if you're watching this little clip of a performance that's on our screen here right now, it's basically a short video, usually taken by a fan, typically like in a live show setting, that portrays usually kind of like a close-up of one or maybe two members of a K-pop group performing.
Okay, so what's happening right here is
video.
It's the hashtag is Trump 2020 now more than ever. So that is an actual Trump hashtag for Trump believers and supporters, and they have flooded that hashtag with these fan cams of BTS dancing. I wish I could tell you the name of the young man dancing. He's very good. but I don't know their names. So this, and then this tweet says, reminder, Trump is a racist and a rapist. And the Twitter
That's a good reminder.
It's a really good reminder of this adorable boy dancing. And it was all over Twitter. They flooded all of the Trump hashtags, all of the QAnon hashtags with BTS.
And they were also, so a lot of this is in solidarity with the BLM movement and protesters.
Exactly. It was in conjunction with all of the marching that was going on this weekend. How K-pop fans became Black Lives Matter's most delightful, spammy ally. So go ahead, Dina.
So on Tuesday, so I think a week ago, there was, that Tuesday was labeled blackout, I think, and it was just like a time to show if you're an ally, to show support and kind of step back and let Black people speak, kind of amplify Black voices and just show support for the BLM movement. And the next day, the white supremacists tried to get a hashtag trending that was like white lives matter. I don't know, something like White Wednesday, something like that. Mm-hmm. And that's what the K-pop fans did, is they spammed that hashtag so that if you were a white Trump supporting racist and you were clicking on the hashtag Whiteout Wednesday, you were just seeing a bunch of K-pop fan cams.
All right, so Dina, do you have any idea is there a leadership role? What is generating this swarm of activity in?
So I did do like a little bit of a deep dive into so the first thing that I think is important to note is so the stan community really wants it to be clear that BTS, like being a BTS Army member, is like a totally separate thing from just being like a K-pop thing.
Okay.
So there's like a whole
standard are super fans. And go ahead. What was the question, Danny? Or Jason? What was the question?
What does BTF stand for again?
BTS, I believe, is Bangtan.
I'm not sure, but it is the very, very hot boy band from South Korea.
Okay. I thought it was a sandwich.
This was all around a positive thing. Because I think the worst thing I hear all the time is, I'll talk about Black Lives Matter and people will say, oh, all lives matter. Well, that's not what we're talking about. We're not talking about all people. When this happens to a gay person, we're talking about gay people. This happens to a Jew, we're talking about Jews. This happens to an Asian person, we're talking, what I mean? This is their group, this is not ours. And what I learned myself in the last number of years in respect to this, is that sometimes our opinions, if we are not a Black person in this, or we're not whatever the people are talking about, it's just time to shut up and listen.
Yeah, my thing is like hashtag don't talk, listen. If you're of privilege and you've been a privilege your whole life, you have no idea what that experience is, and don't pretend you know, because you don't, and you can't possibly. And these K-pop fans are flooding negativity with positivity, and I love it. I
love it too. It's amazing.
They're so powerful, and a lot of them are young kids, and they're doing something. They're taking their numbers and their big hearts, and they're using them for good. And I just think it's really important that if you're not to be supportive and to listen, if you're not of that population, then it's really not your place to say all lives matter, because your life is already treated like it matters and in this country. And it already is, and you can't deny that. That's how come you walk through your day without ever having to have that experience of like, oh my gosh, am I about to get hurt? Or are they going to let me get into this Uber? Or am I going to be followed around inside this store? Like, you don't know. It hasn't happened to you. So stop talking.
Louise?
That's all. Yes.
As soon as you said stop talking, that's my cue. No, I just to play devil's advocate, though, I think a lot of people who say that or say something like all lives matter, I think that's a form of trying to show empathy for what is going on.
I disagree with you. I'll tell you why.
Wait, I'll make it worse. No, I'm just saying I'm asking.
Danny, I'll tell you why. Because this is where the ego gets involved. And, you know, as a Jewish person, as a gay person, I can understand that because I've had people say that to me in the sense that they just want to, no, we don't want, we just want you to learn that this is not about you. This is not happening to you. And that's what people want to say. You know, the mothers of white boys are not being murdered to the extent that black men are being murdered by the police. It's just a fact.
Right.
It's been happening for years. It's
There's a difference though that between saying I know what you're going through, I know how you feel, as opposed to I support what you're saying. Or I'm with you in spirit. I mean, there's no wrong in that.
I'm not saying don't say you support. I'm not saying don't talk ever. I'm just saying, like, mostly to have an opinion, like to counter it with Blue Lives Matter or All Lives Matter. Like, well, obviously, we already know that point has been made. We don't have to fight for that point to be made. You're already treated like you matter.
Right.
We're trying to rise up the people whose lives have been marginalized, and this country was built on the back of their labor after they were stolen. So come on.
And
some lives matter.
They're not saying only Black Lives Matter.
Of course they're not.
Of course. I think Jason made a really good point by pointing out ego. Oh, I'm sorry, Jamie, were you?
Oh, go ahead.
Talk. I like this.
You can finish my sentence for me.
You know what? I feel like your connection is not that great today, Jamie, and like I don't know.
It's the Northern Lights that fucks up with the interference.
But
should I turn my lights off?
The ego thing is a really important point because I know what that's like. Like I consider myself like very, woke or whatever, and I say that like semi-ironically, but I wasn't always like this. I used to be like that person that was like, but I've had like bad things happen to me, and I understand what it's like for these people who are like, well, why are we focusing on just one group when like so many of us are, like, I haven't had an easy life. Like, what privilege are you talking about? I don't see any privilege that, and that's the problem, is that we have to get beyond ego in order to have a real conversation with everyone in a way that's going to affect change that's really going to last and it's going to make a difference in the world. We're not yet at a point where we can have a conversation. Like, we're too far apart.
And can I also say, Dina, it's not a competition. And when someone says to you,
I say that all the time.
A thing has happened to me, they're not saying a thing has never happened to you.
Right, yeah.
Not what you just heard.
It doesn't invalidate.
Check yourself and listen.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. But I just want to make a point about the hashtags, the K-pop stands. Something that just really occurred to me that I really want to just make a point about while I was researching this stuff is just sort of like underscored the global nature of the world that we're living in now. Mm-hmm. Because, so number one, like the BLM movement is really an American-based movement. It's, the protests that have recently started are the result of an event that happened in the United States of America. But we see it resonating all over the world.
Yeah.
K-pop stars, or they're called idols. BTS and other K-pop idols are very clearly profiting off of appropriating Black music and Black culture. And because of that, I mean, obviously, like, there's, people that are just like, it shouldn't be an issue to say, like, Black Lives Matter. But I think there's a lot of people that are looking at their success and their fame and seeing a lot of influence of, Black America in their work and their music. And they're like, the least you could do is make a statement about, a lot of people see Black Lives Matter as literally like the least you could do or say. Like, it's not saying anything more than, can we just get on the same page that Black people, shouldn't be murdered by police.
Of course. But are there influential or the most influential people in their movement that sort of like initiate a movement?
Yes. Apparently with BTS, so BTS at first didn't say anything. Their fans were arguing. some fans are saying, well, this is America and BTS is a Korean band. Other people are saying, you know, they have a global platform. So there's a lot of arguing. Eventually, they made a statement and they donated $1 million to, I want to say, you know what, I'm not sure if it was BLM, the organization, or maybe it was NAACP. I'm not 100%.
I think they
But
don't.
it wasn't Antifa. But there's an organization or a group of volunteers called One in the Army, I believe, and whose BTS fans call themselves Army.
Right.
And this organization, they kind of lead the way in mobilizing fans.
Okay.
So after that $1 million donation was made by BTS, the group, it was quickly matched by a bunch of donations from fans that were kind of organized by the One in the Army. I don't know exactly like how official the One in the Army group is, if it's like an actual organization or if it's just like a loose group of volunteers.
But the initiative to appropriate Trumpy hashtags, where did that come from?
Right. So just kind of very basically, the K-pop stands like already post fan cams and memes and content. Like they're already doing that.
Okay.
They've been doing it a long time and they do it regardless of like what the
Political
context is. Yeah. So they're like, well, we're doing this anyway. I mean, I really wish there was a K-pop fan and particularly a Black K-pop fan here to really speak to this because it's much harder for me to kind of really like outline it. There's a lot of, I know that some Black people who are K-pop fans have talked about anti-Black sentiment in the community. You know, I don't feel comfortable speaking to that because I'm not Black. But
What?
I'm sorry. What was the hashtag, flooding the hashtag? Yeah, so I think that K-pop fans really see, like, I don't know if they necessarily see themselves as politically active. I think some of them do, but I think that they see themselves as like they want to promote their faves as much as possible. And if they can promote the fave while also supporting social justice, it's like a win-win situation.
Right.
So that's what
and also posting cute pics of their guys, you know.
Right, yeah.
They love to do anyway.
And it's a win-win for everybody.
Right, yeah.
Yeah.
And I, you know, whether it's Taylor Swift coming out and telling people to not vote for Trump, or whether it's Haley saying stuff to her fans on Instagram, I think that any influence that we can wield against our current president is legitimate.
Absolutely.
Yeah. I mean, I think young people find their heart and their voice through the people that they idolize. Before they're old enough to develop their own specific point of view, they kind of see themselves through the eyes of someone that they've decided is fantastic, whether it's Haley or Taylor or BTS. They see themselves through that prism of like, this is what I appreciate, and so this is a reflection of what matters to me. And then when that person says, we're a force of good in the world, and we want light and joy and respect and kindness, then the kids go, oh, well, I guess politics is really about everything, instead of just this thing that my parents pay attention to. It's about everything, and you need to focus, pay attention, and be a force for good.
So everything matters.
Celebrity has always been very powerful, always powerful. I used Brill Cream because James Darren did.
Oh, and he's so dreamy.
I didn't understand any of those words.
Friends, still.
All right, we're going to jump ahead to something else that was trending over the weekend, and it was the hashtag Lady G, which at first you think, oh, Lady Gaga's trending. You click on it.
I thought that was.
Immediately met with the adorable mug of one Mr. Senator Lindsey Graham, and apparently what was trending is Lady G because allegedly, as Kathy Griffin would say, this is the code name for Lindsey Graham amongst the people who he hires to sexually please him, which would be male persons.
Can I speak on that?
Yes, please.
Please.
Because I'm assuming the only gay person here, or bisexual. Is there any bisexual people or
I mean, I do identify as bisexual.
I used to ride
don't-
I used to ride a bicycle, but not anymore.
Did Lindsey call you?
No, this is what I think of it. People say, do you believe in outing people?
Right.
And I have never heard from anybody ever that Lindsey Graham was straight. So I'd never heard that information. I've never met Lindsey Graham. He's never told me that he was heterosexual or homosexual. So I only know what I hear from that, what I read. And also, I think it's really important because they say, I don't believe in outing people. So if somebody, if Jamie had said to me, hey, I'm gay and I've been gay my whole life, but I never wanted anybody to know, please don't tell anybody, I wouldn't do that. I've known Jamie for 30 something years, probably.
You said you wouldn't tell anybody.
I knew he was going to say that. I should have used someone else.
I'll never forget this episode.
This will never air.
But then I would not do that. But the idea of outing somebody or saying someone's gay, to me, is like saying that being a gay person is a bad thing.
Exactly.
Right.
You keep it a secret. So it's like Tyler Perry. I have never heard from anybody that he was straight.
It doesn't
ever.
matter. Yeah.
I don't know whether he's gay or not, but I've never heard anybody say that he is. Oh no, that one actress I know said he's a born-again Christian, a well-known actress, and she said that. She knows that for it. But that was one person out of everybody that I've ever talked to.
The reason it matters for Lindsey Graham is because he is voting consistently against LGBTQ issues, and also he's probably a Russian asset who's been compromised by a Russian honeypot that's providing him with these escorts. And so
Why do you think it's Russian?
I just think it's probably Russian, but I don't know, Jason. I just think he's compromised, and I think that there's a history of gay people who grew up, let's make this past tense because I think we're evolving out of this, who grew up in a household where they would never be able to be openly gay. And they hid their gayness by being the biggest bully against the gay kids and by going into conservative politics and voting and being holier than thou and voting against every gay issue. And I think that, in my opinion, Lindsey Graham is among these folks who spend their lives deflecting and projecting to cloak their own gayness in this outwardly anti-gay, very religious persona. And
but he also was the biggest. He was the biggest hater of Trump during his election, and then changed on a dime when he lost his his run for president.
Yeah. No, as soon as his inbox was met with a letter from Vladimir or Igor saying, these are the pictures we have, would you like for your constituents?
Well, we don't know that.
I'm guessing.
We don't know that, and I hate to spread rumors about people that are not true.
It's called, I'm guessing the truth.
What
we know for sure.
That's called Fox News.
What we know for sure is that he was all over the internet saying how much he was against Trump and what a terrible human being he was. And then all of a sudden he jumped on his side. And so to me, that's enough to say this man has no honor.
Right. Okay, you can simply say he has no honor. That's at the lowest bar of his lack of moral character. But at the highest bar is that he's treasonous and that he's been corrupted by foreign powers who have information about him that he would rather his constituents did not know. He should simply jump ahead of this train and say, listen, I'm a gay man. I didn't grow up in a household where I could ever, be gay and have the love and support of my family. So I fell
he would lose his entire career because there has been no Republican that has been supported by the LGBTQ community.
Okay, lose your career, save your soul, buddy. It's time. He's going to lose anyway. So Harrison.
There's the T-shirt.
I remember Lillian Hellman during the blacklisting time said, a famous quote, she said, "I won't cut my conscience to fit this year's fashions." And the same for me.
But she wasn't a Republican.
No, but she wasn't. She also was not a communist. She was a socialist.
But she made great mayonnaise.
Yeah.
What I want to know, growing up, Jason, did you find that the people who were the worst to you were people who grew up to be gay anyway? Because I feel like
I think it's a mixed bag.
You do? Okay.
Yeah, I mean, I think that there are a lot of gay men who have been so incredibly supportive of me, and then there's some that haven't. You know, they would rather go see Kathy Griffin or whoever the diva was at the moment, and that's just the way it is. Hopefully, the times will change, and we will all be comfortable with seeing ourselves in a powerful position. I know that a lot of time in my career, and I was talking to my manager friend today, people would see me, I think, and maybe Jamie could tell me because he's known me such a long time, seriously. Mm-hmm. People saw me as being sort of uppity in the sense that I would walk into a room, how dare you? Why do you think you're an equal to this? They wouldn't say it, but that's the way I felt. A lot of people wanted me to stay in my lane and keep my place. And that was told to me a lot in different,
That can only mean that they're threatened.
Well, of course, but it's more than that. I mean, they stop me from having an equal part of the American pie, of which usually, which is what the white nationalists are afraid of. They do not want to share their piece of the American pie with other people.
That's because they don't understand that this is not zero-sum business. This is by collaboration. Well,
they don't feel that way. No.
We expand. If you let other people in,
that was a long time ago. That was a long time ago, and you need to get over it. People say that to me all the time, a long time, but you still are involved in cleaning up the wreckage of your past. You mean now as an actor and as a comedian, I compete with my straight counterparts who had more opportunities in the 80s to have a career where I couldn't get a job or no one would hire me to do things because they would tell me to my face that being gay, you are not going to get this job. You're too this. They used to say your slip was showing, you're too flamboyant, you're too this, TOO this. And that was okay. So I wasn't allowed to work. So I had to do other things. It didn't matter how funny I was. Or how talented I was as an actor.
I think that the myth is that we're in competition with one another. And the truth is that by sharing, we all have more. In love and acceptance, there is abundance for all. It's a community. We're collaborating here on Earth.
You're right.
You want something for yourself, give it away. It will come back to you. You want a town that flourishes. You don't want to live in a mansion on a hill and come down off your hill and have no shops and restaurants or community. You don't want to see people starving. You want everyone to be taken care of. Take care of them. We're all part of the same human organism here. It's not that complicated.
All lives matter.
I remember the night that Jason came up to me in Igby's comedy club, and I said, "How are you doing, Jason?" And you said, "I'm happier than I've ever been in my entire life." I said, "Why?" And you said, "I came out," and your face just lit up. I came out, and
in my work,
and I knew, and even in your work, I knew you were a gay man, so it was a surprise to me. But the epiphany for you and the cleansing for you was so obvious and so important to you.
Well, I got to speak my truth, and I could talk about something that happened to me after I was, 14 years old. I couldn't talk about things, my life and what was going on. And like everybody is a comedian, not every comedian, because some comedians talk about inanimate things, but my comedy was about me. Mm-hmm. And I had to find myself as a comedian so I could speak my relationships, what happened, how my parents react to me in my life, what my life is about. And it's not, it's the same thing about being a Jew. There were a lot of Jewish people that, did not say they were Jewish because they couldn't get the jobs in different places, in different resorts. Where I used to live near Melrose and Highland in Hollywood, there on Larchmont, there's a big golf course that used to have a sign that said, "No Jews, no blacks, no actors."
Wow.
Right.
Who's left after that?
Yeah.
Lindsey Graham.
Pat Boone.
Just Lindsey Graham. Well, I want to thank you, Jason Stuart, for
thank you kindly
with us today. And I'm going to close with these credits for all of you to enjoy.
This is the best part. Listen to this.
Yeah, it's going to be really good.
And watch Smothered.
Oh, yes, watch Smothered.
Watch Smothered. It's so good.
Which, by the way, is not about Tom and Dick. A lot of people make that error.
That's the Smothers Brothers. That's
yes.
Smothers. So when you do Google it, you can find that.
Yeah.
And that was a documentary about the Smothers Brothers. So you do have to be careful and
I thought so.
put into the Google machine Jason Stuart and then Smothered, and you're going to find it.
Or just go to my website, jasonstewart.com. Click on,
Make
my
that your
project.
home screen.
Or just send him $10.
jasonstewart.com. Make it your home screen. I want to thank our guest, Jason Stuart, for being with us. Our panel is Jamie Alcroft and Danny Mann. Our producer is Dina Friedman. Our tech team is Thomas Hubble, Blaine McFadden, Francesco Demanda, and Michael Tellep. Our sound mixer is John Maddox. Our webmaster is Bill Filipiak. Our theme music is The Coffee Song by Louise Palanker and John Maddox. I am Louise Palanker. Be safe, be well, be kind, and we will see you next week. Bye-bye.